Hello, welcome to Framework. I am Al Schwartz. With me, as usual, is John Bernard.
Hey, good morning. I have a cold, so that's why my voice sounds a little different.
And I am recording in a different room than usual. If I sound any different, that would be why. But we are doing one of our usual things, which is the Bioware Omnibus. We are getting into the middle section of Dragon Age: The VEILGUARD, which I griped about at length in our opening episode.
And I somewhat defended. I don't know. Like I don't think I was passionately defending this. I'm still kind of having fun with it, and that's where I stand now with it. I'm still not angry per se. I'm just disappointed.
That's worse in a way, because that is how I feel. Is I can't get just a full hate on for this game, because it's still like got enough tangential Dragon Age connections that it it's not really the thing that I loved, and that I'll get into that from many different angles today, but there is that reminder. I mean, I guess this is sort of the fans' dilemma in 2025, as we've been inundated with more and more, like, really testing out the boundaries of, you love this thing, but can there be too much of a good thing? And so we're 40 years deep in a lot of our formative franchises. And can't all be winners.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of, before we started this project, going through all the Bioware games, I kind of had Mass Effect and Dragon Age as a similar kind of tiers, personally. I was just like, wow, the two great Bioware franchises, obviously. And having played through them again, I think where I stand now is that Mass Effect is the great franchise, the really strong, kind of exceptional, kind of wonderful one that really holds up, that still captures my attention, flaws and all. And Dragon Age is very much the sort of ugly little brother that is not quite up to it in any regard. The first game is very strong still to this day, but then after that, they're all kind of problematic in one way or another. None of them are really doing that thing like I wanted to anymore.
I would probably still put Origins as my number one Bioware game overall.
Oh, okay.
But yes, Mass Effect as a package definitely hangs together better. It helps that I'm also one of the softest out there on the Mass Effect 3 and the endings and all that.
I know people have.
I don't hate those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm just like slicing Andromeda out of the conversation because we didn't play it in this case. But even that, I remember being like having a lot of fun combat in it. We'll get to it maybe one day. I want to take some time after this, frankly.
Andromeda also played enough like the prior Mass Effects that I didn't have as much trouble just getting my grips on it the way I have with this game. Like mechanically, there's stuff here that is just irritating me. This game in many ways, it's just making me feel so like such an old man. I could feel myself turning into a grumpy boomer,
Yeah, I kind of know what you mean there. But this is a game for us, right? This is for our generation, essentially, right? I mean, maybe not.
Well, it is. It's for people that played the first three, right? Which is me. I am right in there. Yes, it is for me. Or it's pivoting away from us. But I don't know that it's doing a great job of outreach to Gen Zs that weren't around for Origins necessarily. But to give you an example, like gameplay wise, what I'm talking about, like I was 20 some hours into this game and still could not figure out how to sell my valuables. And that is something that is so basic. Like, I think I figured it out now that yes, you collect a bunch of valuables constantly. None of them make any impression on me as I'm collecting them.
No,
but they're worthless. And you just go to when you go to a merchant, you hit a sell all button and you just get more gold.
Well, more important than that, you get points for the faction that you've sold them to. That's more important.
Oh, that's how I get those points? I thought I thought that was side questing.
It's both. It's both. But yeah, if there's a specific faction seller or market for each zone, and if you go sell all the valuables there, you increase in points there. So if you're like lagging behind somewhere, struggling with one faction or another, you just go sell to that seller and you get You push your numbers up for the Morn Watch or whatever. It's fucking with me now because Treviso, I lost Treviso in my playthrough, and the seller went with them. So all my other guys are way up high, and Treviso and Teven Crows, they're not following us really. I'm lagging behind there with them. I don't know if I'm going to catch it up.
Oh, I lost Minrathus.
Oh,
so
good.
I kept Treviso.
Yeah.
Maybe they're lagging behind. I don't pay attention to. I mean, when I see that when I go to a merchant and see upgrade as a possibility, I hit upgrade. So that's like an issue here too, I guess, is the whole upgrade system.
Yeah.
If you
haven't heard us talk about VEILGUARD already, by the way, go back and listen to the first episode. We're picking up right on where we left off, hitting the ground running, complaining about merchants. So yeah.
Well, and we've in our prior, Inquisition episodes talked about losing hours to the crafting system there.
Right.
And here, like, there is an upgrade system. I pay very little attention to it. It seems like mostly it's just linear improvements across the board. So I don't need to like really pay attention to what I like. Sometimes I get a new weapon and compare it, and it feels like it's sort of a lateral move with a kind of different specialty. But for the most part, I just ignore it, and I just go with the higher damage, and it gets it upgraded linearly. And I'm just collecting items to collect points to upgrade the items to the next level where they do 8 more damage.
It's not unlike how the actual upgrades to your character go in this game. It's it kind of encourages that you experiment and change stuff up. There's no cost for reassigning all your points. You can just rebuild yourself on the fly throughout the game, and they want you to do it. They want you to try everything. And that was fun to a point. And then I kind of just like figured out what worked best for me and my play style, and there was nowhere else to go. I mean, I could kind of punch up the numbers, but the actual methods I'm using haven't changed since I locked into my lightning mage specialty here, and then it got a little samey.
It's kind of the same for me as a rogue. I have not respect myself at all or changed up my tactics since I realized that blocking is kind of hard and just constantly spamming dodge is much, much more effective.
Yep.
And I'm playing on normal, so I don't feel like I've only died a handful of times. I don't feel like I'm challenged by that much, except when I go after a boss who's 10 levels above where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is, normally, once I get the hang of a combat system in one of these games, I crank up the difficulty and like to play it with an additional challenge. And I have no impulse to do that here because already with the harder fights, it's just tedium. It just takes so goddamn long to jump in, poke a couple of times, and then flip back, do 18 more flips to dodge their series of boss attacks, and then jump back in and do 4 more damage. And they already have 40,000 health, and those fights take 25 minutes. And I feel like plugging up the difficulty to hard or nightmare is just going to make those take 45 minutes instead.
I haven't had too many fights like that. I mean, you're right though, that when that happens, when that sets in, there's honestly nothing more tedious and ruinous for a game. I'm really over leveled, is my impression. I'm at, I don't know. Currently, I'm at level 46, something like that, and nothing really stands a chance. There was like an end game dragon I fought the other day that took 3 times to take down, and that was like very unusual. Like I hadn't died in several dozens of hours, and then until I hit that guy. So I probably could up the difficulty level, but I'm not inclined to. Even as I'm kind of enjoying the combat, I'm still just sort of like, yeah, I kind of just want to finish this off, which is not a great place to be in. If I were enjoying the story more, I think I'd be more open to that. And the writing of the story specifically is kind of what's letting me down more than the combat, personally.
Yes, well, which we'll get to that. I do want to talk a little bit about speccing and gear and stuff as it applies to the companions, though. This is the other area that I find to be a real letdown.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I say, you can upgrade them linearly every once in a while. But also they can't die, so I don't know why I'm bothering to upgrade their armor. And I guess I can upgrade their weapons to do a little more damage. I don't really notice them doing regular weapon damage. They are each like a series of 2 special attacks that are on a cooldown that I can use.
Pretty much. Or I found the buffs would be more useful. I don't know. There's a few times that an attack is good for distracting or, claiming focus, taunts, that sort of thing. But mostly it's like one guy to heal and, and one guy maybe to buff. And if we're ahead, we'll start walloping on him with like a griffin dive or whatever, like an individual attack.
I haven't messed with taunting too much because that's usually a big part of sort of turn-based RPGs is managing aggro, as they say. Here, in action setting where the taunting can be managed by an unkillable companion, it feels like cheating.
Yeah, kind of. That is the unkillable thing is a really strange choice.
Yeah.
I mean, I assumed that they were killable at one point and that it was annoying, and so they took it out. That's my guess. Like, it just made the game less fun when they were killable, which, that can happen. But it does seem like, I don't know, it feels like a very different system.
It's so weird because Mass Effect managed this already. Fine. Though it had the same wheel. The companions had a couple of different special attacks that was the main thing it did with them. But also you could direct them who to attack, which I guess I can do here. I just never do.
I do that. I do the primer detonator combos often enough. Those are fun.
I figured those out in Mass Effect. I don't know why I have a hard time here when I know it must be the exact same system. But I think it's just there's too many different types of statuses that this is the my guy always does
overwhelm. Yeah.
Stagger and overwhelm, and then I can do my guy does a lot of necrotic damage, but I guess I could specialize into electricity or fire or bleeding, or maybe there's ice too. And it's just like
here's what you do, Al. Don't get too experimental with it. Just watch a YouTube video of the best thief build and try to duplicate that and see if it's fun. That's fine.
Maybe that's what I do.
Yeah, who gives a shit? Fine. Just see if you can change it up.
It was so it became so intuitive to me so fast in Mass Effect that I have these tech powers that are about when they have shields, I gotta do this, and I have to do the fire powers when they have armor, and then there's barrier, I suppose.
Well, I kind of believe Mass Effect is a genius fight system. Like, it's one of my favorites in any video game ever. I mean, I got so good at it. I was so in lock with it that it was a pleasure to play that game. Even when it did get repetitive, I didn't care because I was just like, another chance to go hunting. And, this one, I mean, it's not killing me like Inquisition did. Like, it's a lot more fun to do the combat here than Inquisition. But even still, I'm, just like, okay, let's... Rapido.
Disagree, if only because I felt like I had a more functional command of my companions in Inquisition, and a much better enemy variety.
I suppose that's true. Yeah, I don't know. I'm right at the end of this thing myself now, and it is just a lot of Venatori and people who have been infected by blight, and yes. I guess Darkspawn.
Blighted Venatori and blighted Anton. Mm-hmm. I've just fought tons of. And yeah, now there's Darkspawn everywhere, which are also, yeah.
That's true. It's interesting because each faction has like a sort of a genetic, what do you call it, bias towards one or another different faction. Whoever it is that's Venatori, that's the one you want. I forget who. I think it might be the Shadow Dragons. You're one of them, right?
Yeah. I am. I don't notice a difference in.
Of course,
I guess they're a little. They feel a little softer than the others. I would say my other gripe here, which I hadn't really. I'm just coming to me now that I guess this is part of my problem is, regardless of the faction I'm fighting, or the size of the enemy, even, it all still manifests as okay. Here's the red circle of where they're about to attack, and I have to get out of that red circle, and then I can go in and hit them. And
right,
that was functional. And once I was like, okay, that's what that is. I feel like I did get good at like working around that, but now it just makes every fight feel kind of samey. That whatever enemy I was really against, my enemy is the red circle.
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, that's true. What are you rocking with your attack? Mine is mine like I said, it's gotten pretty standardized now. I'm rolling in with like, and then I shoot like an electrical cloud up in the air, and I get my own purple circle, and lightning strikes everyone within that. And then I'm just doing I'm stacking attacks to build up a column of 3 power attacks, and then I can explode those on the guys. Rinse,
I just
repeat.
run in and hit them with my knives.
Okay, well,
I have like a dash attack that will apply necrotic damage to them in a sort of I can hit multiple people with if they're clumped, and so I use that when it's on cooldown. But then I just do 8 flips backwards, fire a couple arrows, and when they close with me again, I smack them up again and flip back away from them.
Well, see, I've got a more complex kind of relationship with the combat as a mage.
I think I should have been a mage, probably, but.
Yeah.
You beat
on
me
your
to that
next
punch.
playthrough. On your next playthrough, well, for sure.
Yeah. You beat me to that punch, so I felt obligated to choose a different class for contrast.
Well,
so it's all your fault.
Yeah, well, worked out for me. You know, sorry. It is fun though. I'm enjoying the mage.
Okay, yeah, well, so that's another thing. In prior Dragon Age games, I didn't feel compelled that I had to be a mage because I could take control of my allied mages and do all the stuff through them. And that's not the case here. Each one's got a attack. It's, it's electric for this person. It's ice based for Nev. But,
Well, I have to imagine this is all just streamlining to make this thing as playable and functional as possible. I mean, have you had a moment to look into the tortured backstory of this game's production? I mean, we went over it a little last time, but
I just know it took 10 years, and 10 years, and the studio changed corporate overlords, and it was going to be a multiplayer thing at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just.
I think they're lucky that the fighting is as functional as it is, considering what it was intended to be at first. It was supposed to be something. Yeah, some game as service kind of multiplayer online world situation. And you can kind of see honestly, I mean, I guess that makes sense coming off of Inquisition, even though it's my least favorite part of Inquisition. They seem like they were primed to do that. And this is exactly what everyone was complaining about when BioWare bought EA. When EA bought BioWare, it was that they would get that this very specific voice in the gaming in RPGs was going to get flattened out for mass consumption and maximum profits. It's kind of precisely what happened with these. They sort of realized it and tried to right the boat here, but didn't do a great job. Is kind of how VEILGUARD feels. Now BioWare is in a more precarious position than they've ever been as a company because this is the third cataclysmic failure in a row.
And it's baffling to me from the outside. I think I talked about it last time in terms of fast food, but it's just you kind of see the idiot logic of capitalism at work when it's like, okay, we're Nike and we have, we make all kinds of sportswear, but we figured out that actually the highest profit margin of any of our products is on belts. And so what we need to do is now, instead of making shoes, we turn all our shoes into belts and make nothing but belts. And that's not actually going to make you more money, though. That is such a small path to eking out a little bit more profit once on one item as you ruin your ability to make money over time. It's just dumb.
Mm-hmm. I mean, EA was acquiring. I don't want to complain about EA a bunch. There's plenty of people online who will tell you list you the sins of EA as a company. But they really they seem to want everything to be maximum profits, whereas that's just not the way to when you're acquiring as many companies as they are, and trying you get Bioware for a specific thing,
Yeah, you make money off doing a bunch of different things.
Mm-hmm.
You don't buy everything up so you can have them all do the same thing. That's just it's insane to me.
Exactly. So we're talking about the precise example of that here in VEILGUARD, which does feel like, like late stage EA. It kind of feels like the embers and the ashes of Bioware at this point. And I don't know. I mean, larger picture, I guess they're kind of putting all their chips on another Mass Effect game at this point. But I mean, I guess maybe we'll give that a shot when it comes out in 2 years. But like, it seems like, this could be, we're swirling the drain here, and that might be it.
Yeah,
thus ends the Omnibus.
It feels like they killed the Dragon Age franchise at least, and maybe there's a way to turn it around with Mass Effect. We'll see. It'd be nice. I would like that, but
I can't imagine another Dragon Age game. It feels like they're out of story too, like out of ideas.
Yeah, let's circle back to that actually, because there is something. The lore of where we're at in VEILGUARD is confounding to me in ways. But I before we get to there, I still want to stick with some gameplay stuff and like the environments in this game. My relationship to the environment.
Sure.
I'm trying to figure out why I'm not engaging with this game the way I have with previous titles. And there are many different avenues into that, I think. One of them is the environments. So, if we talked about last time visiting Treviso and how it's like, it looks cool there.
Mm-hmm.
And yet I'm taking these zip lines around town and like and climbing up trellises in a way that like, what I don't know why I'm doing it. Like, this is the way I have to traverse. I'm not doing anything in secret. I'm not sneaking in anywhere, but this is the only way to get around. And ziplining makes me feel a little silly, to be honest with you, at least as a regular mode of transportation.
Well, I think it's okay because Treviso is the one that has that. It is a zipline based culture. No one else has that.
I would love it if there was like a tourism thing, like when you go to the Central America, whatever, and they have zipline, tours you can take. But it should be that should be the elves living in their, Robin Hood,
they're sort of
like treehouse villages.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. If it was the main way to get around Arlathon, that would be okay.
It would make a lot more sense, yes.
But Treviso is one of the better environments, honestly. But these environments, they're not small, but they do feel more linear and not as interactive as the ones in Inquisition.
Oh, for certain. I mean, I think it is a correction off of the how people felt about the Inquisition maps, or certainly how we felt about them.
There was arguably too much terrain in Inquisition, but I'm missing how that terrain was filled with unique structures and landmarks so that I could orient myself, and unique encounters, wildlife. Like, there were just wild animals. There was deer and bears wandering around and things, and that would, I guess. You have the occasional, what do you call them, nugs?
Mm-hmm.
Or like, but they pop up, and then when you come near them, they dig into the ground and just disappear in a way that
don't do anything. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't interact with them.
Mm-hmm.
And it becomes so like mechanically rote that it feels less immersive to me. Then I'm reminded, oh yes, there's another little animation that I can't interact with. As opposed to Inquisition, I was like, God damn it, I just want to try to get to one of these 60 quest markers. I don't want to fight a grizzly bear right now. But I could interact with those grizzly bears. I could interact with the hala, that would run away from me. But I could shoot it down and pick up some leather from it.
I mean, this game is, as you said, on the longer side. It's certainly not as long as Inquisition, but it's closer to that than it was, Dragon Age 2. It's probably going to be, I don't know, I'm at 65 hours or something like that. I got another 10 to go, maybe, at least. So, I'm doing a lot of things, trying to clear it out.
I'm 50 some in.
Yeah.
I started feeling the length of this one a lot earlier than I did Inquisition, which we documented there. That, our Inquisition episodes are a great document of the first one. We're coming like, man, we forgot how great this game was. That's wonderful. And then at the end of the second episode, we're just like, oh my God, I have so many more of these boards to clear still. But here, like, there's something about, that the way that these environments are designed, I guess, that makes each new screen look functionally identical to what I was looking at around the last corner. And I don't develop a relationship or understanding with I don't know my way around at Minrathous or Treviso at all, the way I intuitively knew my way around Denerim, or, even the Western approach, whatever. And the wilderness.
You're not wrong, and it's a little frustrating. I like them, like some of the things they've done with these maps. I like the verticality, and I like that each one is distinct to itself. Like, Arlathon Forest does not look like the Hosberg wetlands, does not look like the coast of Ravane. They are very distinct, different-looking places. This is like a Mediterranean beach.
I think they look a lot more similar to each other than the Inquisition.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose so, but once you're in Minrathous, everything just looks like sort of a wash of Minrathous Street. You know, it's very hard to feel like you're in a real place because it's everything looks the same once you're there.
And I think the verticality is actually part of that issue. You're right. It is a little cooler in terms of game design in some ways, but it also makes it feel like a less functional society. Like, ziplining around town is not a way to actually travel. And so Denerim or Orzammar in Origins, even though they're very linear, I can't go up or down. I had a sense of how those sort of little urban environments were existing without me and how I could interact with them. And maybe
I think a big reason for that, though, is that there were more people to talk to in Orzammar. You know,
certainly
there's like 2 people to talk to on most of these boards. You know, maybe you can overhear
who will have actual conversations with you. Yeah, you can do some ambient overhearing of people gossiping.
And, you know, you basically go to the same person for quests. You know, they just reset after you do one. There's another one. And it's often just like, we heard there's blight in the forest. Go fight the blight. And you do. And then you come back. Oh, man, now there's blight in the graveyard. And you just like, you kind of go place to place. And it is all very samey. You know, there's standouts. I'm a big fan of the Mornwatch and the Necropolis, especially because one of the quest givers is just sort of an animated cloak with a ghost voice. I
love that guy. I wish we got more of him. But even that, it's the same type of thing. It's not blight. It's, there's a haunting in this level of the Necropolis. Go deal with that haunting and then go fight this thing over there.
Precisely.
Yeah. But even like, I think another part of this maybe, and I don't know that there's any solution to it. It's just that over time, as quest markers have gotten better, I don't have to pay as much attention to the environment. Like, when I had to just look in the journal to say that, talk to so-and-so in Dusttown and Orzammar, I couldn't put a marker and then have the screen guide me to on the fastest route to that. Now I activate a quest. I just go after the bright dot in whatever direction. And that's probably contributing to why I don't develop a sense of internal compass within Minrathous, the way I know how to get to things in Orzammar.
There's also not a reason to walk that distance. You're not going to find somebody you haven't met along the way. You're not going to have,
that too, yeah.
New kind of experiences. So the thing to do is you just warp to the closest.
You fast travel.
Warp zone. Yeah. Whichever one's closest to the dot. And honestly, you should be doing that because, it's a long game. And there's no reason to drag this out per se. You're not rewarded for that. Yeah, that's true.
Even something as little as in Inquisition, having my guide drop to one knee to clip some herbs, it takes a little longer than when I just pop a glowing gold box as I run by without stopping in this game. But it creates a sense that I'm part of a sort of living world there. I'm interacting with the environment.
I can't be with you on this, man. Picking up more roots and flowers is not what this game is missing for me.
I was not citing that as a strength of Inquisition previously. I'm saying that this game highlights there was something to that. Honestly, it is something I cite as one of the great strengths of Inquisition is how the environment does reflect your progress in the game as you go. And there's more, it changes around you based on that. And I guess that technically happens here, and that Minrathous got devastated for me at some point, but I didn't have a feel for it before. I don't afterwards.
That's the thing. I lost Treviso, and now I've kind of just know Treviso as the city with all the giant pus bubbles that are everywhere, and a bunch of ambient red light, and it's gross. So I had a very brief moment where it looked like, Florence, and it was nice. And now it's just the pus world, and with no market or anywhere to sell my goods.
That's interesting, actually, because Minrathous is not covered in blight for me. It's run by the Venatori now, I guess.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we got blight everywhere.
But physically, it doesn't look enormously different. But again, it's maybe just be a function of I'd never spent much time in Minrathous before it was destroyed, so I didn't get a sense of place.
Early choice that you make. Like, you've seen those places maybe once each, and you make a decision like which city is going to be destroyed. And there's not a lot of choices like this in the game. Mm-hmm. I'm getting to the end now, and there's a few, but up until the final acts here, this is the only big world status changing choice you get, and it happens so early.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like it was a ways into the game for me because I just put so many hours in doing, I guess, busy work. But now it feels like, yes, that was a very opening, a first act type of thing.
Yeah.
Let's compare, actually. So, Tevinter and Antiva were two of the more developed cultures or regions of the Dragon Age world that we had never visited before this game, but had been developed off screen or whatever. How do you feel about how VEILGUARD decides to present things? I think they kind of do it in two very opposite ways, neither of which I'm very satisfied with.
I mean, I'm okay with them. I think that a lot of this level design stuff that you're talking about is obviously a factor for them. The way they look themselves, I mean, I prefer Treviso, which is, I mean, a bit of a shame it got blighted for me because, I don't know, I was very excited about what Tevinter would be, and it's, as it turns out, well, it looks a lot like the city from The Witcher, is kind of how it turned out. And, it's good. I kind of like the look of Minrathous, the docks and such, but it has a sort of a flattening effect on the place. Like, honestly, I wanted way more Tevinter here. I wanted to infiltrate the offices of the magus, all sorts of weird D&D shit you could do in a city run by tyrannical wizards. It's just not in this game. They got we got a dock town. There's some the Venatori are there. You can do some regular RPG things here. It's one of the least defined of the major cities for me. So that's disappointing.
It does feel really undefined. And also that what had been defined for us was that Tevinter was the country that was ruled by mages and was defined by being the engine of the slave trade in this world. And as we finally get to go to the capital, we don't really see any of that stuff up front. They put us in Docktown. They put us in a slum that kind of functions the same way Denerim would. And we don't, at least 50 hours through this game, am not interacting with any of the magical ruling class and the politicking that is supposed to come with that.
Right.
Or even with really the slave trade aspect of it, because it's all defined by the Shadow Dragons, who are the anti-slavery group.
And ostensibly, you would think that would put them in conflict with the slavers and the ruling class there, but it doesn't.
The
main antagonist is it's a different mage, and she's fighting against us, which is kind of true of most of these. Ultimately, almost every side quest reduces to that. It's a little. I wanted way more Tevinter in this for sure. It seems like of the cultures, this is the one that got, I don't know, a lot of them kind of lacked for definition. Certainly, I certainly wanted more of the Lords of Fortune too, and they got nothing for them.
The antithesis to that in Tevinter, I think, is how Antiva is presented, which falls to me into what we complain about, the Star Wars trap of lazy world building, where the first we meet one person from this alien race, and then whatever their deal is becomes the deal of the entire culture. So the Bith in Star Wars are a culture built around playing jazz music, or jizz music, sorry.
Of course.
And that's all I do. And the head tail, the Twi'leks, are all they're all dancers and slaves apparently. And because we were introduced to the concept of Antiva through Zevran, the Antivan crow. I feel like Treviso is now way too defined by the crows, and they are not the ruling group, basically. In a way, I think maybe we'll circle back to. I'll talk about all the factions, but they're also really kind of have their rougher edges sanded off and are now just kind of generic freedom fighters. When what we learned about them in Origins is that they were a lot much darker of an organization.
I don't care for that. Yeah. Now, I think there was an idea here that I liked, which is that they're sort of like the Medici, that they're sort of an aristocrat family almost, or something like that, that they, if it, I guess, as an assassin guild, that's a little trickier to do, but that's still what they went with, like it is sort of some sort of patriarchal structure in place, well, matriarchal, I guess, because, the old lady's at the top of it, but even still, it's a not bad idea. It just kind of has the effect of flattening out Treviso entirely. If they're like the beginning and the end of what Treviso's about, it sort of seems very small.
Yes, and so, but I think all these factions strike me as a bit samey and free of moral complexity.
Yes, and it seems like that's where Dragon Age should be living, is the moral complexity of these factions. Like, they should be at odds with each other. You should, you choose Treviso or Minrathous in that early decision. Yeah. And that seems to have an effect, you favored one over the other. It doesn't really matter, ultimately. Well, you get more points for the other,
One of your party members goes off to pout for a while.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And fine, they do come back and you can repair bridges.
There should be a ton of that, though. That should be like the whole game. It should be.
Bioware has done this before. I mean, in Mass Effect 2, you have to, mediate these arguments between Jack and Miranda, or between Tali and Legion, and you can, have permanent shifts in your relationships to those characters based on how you do that, and what you built up with the relationships you built up with them previously. So, in this, again, the sameness of it comes from each faction having a party member that comes from them that represents them,
speaks for them essentially.
And also they want to give you the option of being from that faction. And I guess they think that means that you can't make any of those factions like not so good, which is weird. But like, if I choose to make my origin the Assassin's Guild, I think I'm going to be okay with having there be some shades of gray around that.
I mean, it sort of feels like they've gone from being a kind of a predominantly bad guy group in the in Origins. They're basically hired killers, and there's some fanciness to that, but mostly not. Mostly they're just murderers.
To be clear, Origins also established that they traffic in orphaned children and make them fight each other. Sometimes to the death, to mold the survivors into hardened assassins. And here they are principled freedom fighters and supportive of everyone's life choices and happy to lend their support to an international military effort.
It's unfortunate. I'm going to say that a lot this episode, I think.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, this is basically just the Assassin's Guild from the Assassin's Creed games, which is about like it for all the fuckery of pretending that there's sort of a shades of gray in there. It really comes down to there are good guys, the Assassins, and bad guys, the Templars, that have been at war since the beginning of civilization. And it's just sort of one more chapter in an ongoing thing. And that is, well, I mean, I think the Assassin's Creed have proved definitively at this point that's quite boring. That is a very dull world state to be in. And it feels like we've got like, 6 of that dynamic here.
Right.
I mean, well, they're not really Lords of Fortune. They just don't have anything going on.
Yeah, we'll get to them momentarily. The thing I want to be like clear here, I'm okay with a dynamic that is sort of bringing the crows around from villains in Origins to allies in this game. But they should be, uneasy allies at least. That the idea that they could become allies, that they become sort of the French resistance in Treviso once the Entente invade. That could do the trick to make us so that we have to overlook some things to fight. I mean, this is a lot of what Origins did. Was you don't have to be comfortable with this dwarven king to be like, well, we still need your help against the blight. We'll use your golems, whatever, or your werewolves, whatever the case might be.
And hey, what if you were able to be on the asshole side here? What if you were knowingly to pick the bad guy side maybe once or twice? That might be fun. Mm-hmm. Sort of one of the main things you've always been able to do in Dragon Age. Well, I say that less so. Like every game, less than one before. That's been true.
I don't know. I think it'd be a pretty big asshole in 2.
Yeah,
maybe it fell off in Inquisition. It's a market fall off even from Inquisition to here, though. Mm-hmm. As we talked about last time, and we'll continue to this time. I just wish my relationship to the Antivan Crows could be as muddled as my relationship to the Krogan in Mass Effect.
Yeah. That'd be awesome. Well, it's one of the best. You're comparing to one of the best Bioware races ever. So it's a little tricky to hit the high bar that they've already established for themselves. But that's kind of what's demanded when you make a new Dragon Age game or a new Mass
But they
Effect
didn't
game.
hit that bar by making them as cuddlier as time.
Never. I'm not sure what the logic is on. I mean, have them at odds with each other. For God's sake, they have no relationship one to the next. The Morn Watch has nothing to do with the I don't know, what are the veil jumper, like it's these things all exist in a vacuum from each other, and that's a shame. Like that you should have to kind of negotiate those waters. These are factions. The whole point is that they're at odds with each other.
Yes, that would be. It would seem to be the whole point. If you were just someone who had only played every other Bioware game previously. That would be what you would think. But if you were making the game, apparently you'd think something different. So, as we go through these factions, we should probably talk about the individual characters. So,
sure, yes.
Lucanus, we mentioned last time that he's got the spite demon thing.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah, I like Lucanus. Totally. He's a bit of a, Puss in Boots, obviously. And, everyone's a little bit Saturday morning cartoon here. Everyone.
Yes.
And that includes Lucanus, There's a cool thing that's happening now in my game, which is that he and Nev are hooking up, which seemed to happen organically. I think if you're not romancing either of them, it happens, is my guess. But it did seem to happen on its own, and that was neat.
I will not be romancing either of them. I'll get to that when we talk about Nev probably next. But my one favorite thing about Lucanus, I love the spite thing.
Yeah.
But I noticed as I recruited him that, okay, now he has the spite demon in his head that a voice in his head talking to him. I meditate to go talk to Solus, who's the voice in my head. Harding has been infused with the spirit of the Titans or whatever, so she can hear delirium whispering to her. She's got a voice in her head, and our next recruit's going to be a Grey Warden who has the calling, which is a whisper. So everybody's thing feels less special when we all have supernatural voices whispering in our heads.
Yeah, that's for sure. This is the world that's been set up. I suppose you're always going to have the wardens. Everyone's magic in some way or another.
Well, I guess that gets to the lore aspect of it. We are Origins was remarkable for being a more grounded high fantasy world. That there was a lot more Game of Thrones in it. I guess even Game of Thrones as it went on became more dragon-centric and magical. But goddamn, we are deep in the weeds of magical realms here. I guess it's not weeds. We're deep in the floating boulders.
Of course.
Of the seas and seas of floating boulders, as I griped about last time.
Mm-hmm. Well, do you remember how weird and unusual the mirrors were in the first game? There's one, you use it at the very end, basically.
Right. And
that's it. It is dangerous. It's a relic of an old world, and it's just the natural power creep of this sort of story. Now it's just that is essentially the means of transport throughout the game is mirrors.
Yeah. And as I mentioned last time, it's weird because it's a video game, so it's always like, even in Origins, when we're walking across the country side, it's still a load screen, and then we go to the next place. But man, something feels fundamentally different about the environments when I'm literally teleporting across this continent, and it makes me feel less connected to everything. I don't, even the drawing of the map is bad. It feels crowded. I don't have a sense of where things are in relation to each other very well, even though I can pull it up to look at it.
The map is awful.
The other environmental thing that I didn't get to write about that I hate is the setup where valuables are hidden in breakable boxes everywhere. You
got to roll through them, yeah.
Yeah, it forces me to constantly flail my way through every environment like a fucking idiot. So I never really exist as a functional part of this world. Like I'm searching for points and also making a huge spectacle of myself, which no one reacts to, which makes everything feel very phony. Even aside from all the boulders floating every fucking
none place. Of that matters, by the way. I've kind of got to the point where a game is like, I actually don't need any of this shit. I guess I could upgrade a bunch of gear that I do not use because I have my set gear with its specific perks, and that I can't upgrade anymore because I haven't hit the level on my store yet. So I've just got all these pieces of heartwood and etheric material, and it does nothing for me. It is just sitting there accumulating.
Well, I'm still missing. I don't even know what things are called. Like that's when I go to upgrade things, I see I'm missing. Oh, I only have 2. I need 6 of this sort of green rock.
Green thing.
I don't know which green rock that is, and I don't care to look.
Yeah.
But I'm irritated by that. Like how I'm just constantly, I'm going through the necropolis, just shattering ancient urns left and right. Like. And my necromancer doesn't object to this or anything, like disturbing this space.
This thing about the environments, I feel like this might have passed muster if this had come out 2 or 3 years after Inquisition. Like, there's been a lot of games since then, and we've kind of moved the needle quite a bit with what environments look like, especially RPG action stuff. Elden Ring, the Shadow of the Erd Tree, is the game I played right before this. That is a masterpiece of level design. Like, it is just nothing but dynamic, interesting areas to go through. That's the entire game. It's just like, exploring this really cool map, and it's huge, and it never gets boring. And now this is just a wash of kind of like decade-old ideas, honestly. It feels out of step with what modern gaming is. In a way that, I don't know, it's in Origins, that's charming.
At the same time, it's out of step with this stuff that made Bioware games in the throwback era.
I think it's trying to be a handshake between the two, and it's kind of serving neither.
Maybe there's a lesson in that, is that we are in an era of balkanization, where it's...
Well, certainly in floating rock balkanization.
Well, yes, we are in that way. But in terms of products, like you specialize these days is how you dig down into your audience, and in a way that you can't make the Tonight Show anymore, the way Carson did. Maybe you also can't make.
Maybe you don't want to or need to.
A video game that fits with that everybody actually plays. I guess it's Minecraft is what everybody plays, or Roblox, but.
Well, no, they're chasing the game everyone plays. I don't even know what that is anymore. Like, it seems like the niche stuff is what breaks out. What are the big games of this year? Kingdom Come, Deliverance, the Claire Obscura. These are not like mass appeal games. I don't know. Maybe there's some Nintendo thing I'm not thinking of because I'm out of the loop there. But, I think...
Yeah, and they probably makes 3 times as much as all those others combined, I guess.
Smash Brothers or whatever. But... it feels like that's not the market here. It's a fucking RPG. It's the 4th game in a series of nerd RPGs about dragons.
Yeah, so. That's what I keep harping on too. Just make the thing you're making. Don't try and make that into the thing that's more profitable than that.
All right, let's keep going on these factions and characters. Let's talk about Nev and the Shadow Dragons.
With Lucanus, he's the 4th party member I've recruited here. I still don't have a warrior available at this point.
That was frustrating.
It strikes me as not good game design.
Yeah. You only get I guess Lucanus, I don't know, he's sort of a stealth guy. He's a rogue, really. So I think the only, Tosh and Davrin, I guess, are warriors.
Yes.
And they're like the last
probably probably had the option to recruit Davrin or Lucanus first. I think it was one of those ones where it's up to you.
Right.
But I didn't really, I didn't think that through. And I guess it doesn't matter because this is not a game where you have to really take party composition seriously.
No.
But also, why would this be a game where you don't take party composition seriously? That is insane. Okay. So, yeah. I guess did we talk about Harding last time? She's the one that doesn't come with a faction affiliation, I suppose.
Yeah, she doesn't. We mentioned her briefly, but, she's the dwarf from Inquisition. Archer, another archer dwarf. And yeah, she has a narrative here about getting imbued with earth magic and hearing the voice of the Titans, which, got set up in DLC from the last game. I don't know. I thought all this was pretty boring. I think Harding is boring. I don't care about Harding. I never use her.
The stuff about the Titans and the origin of Lyrium was kind of a cool lore reveal in the DLC for Inquisition.
Yes, I like the DLC.
Unfortunately, here it's folded into an already overstuffed calzone of ancient elven lore, this ancient dwarven lore that I can't parse it and I don't care anymore. What Solus and Mythal's relationship to the primeval Titans was at a time when they were just spirits and Lyrium was a conscious mountain, or I don't know what the fuck we're talking about anymore. And
Well, this points to a larger thing, which is I've completely checked out on the lore in this game.
Right, yeah.
I used to love the lore. I used to be fascinated. I used to read the codexes. You wouldn't catch me dead reading codexes in VEILGUARD. It's never. It's so boring.
Yes. Okay, yeah. I was kind of holding that for the end, but let's go through. So the first three,
right.
The first three women I got are all everybody's a romance option in this game.
Everybody.
All party characters are romanceable. No non-party characters are, but regardless of sex or race or class, you can romance everybody.
Is that right? You can have a homosexual relationship with anyone you want. Is that correct?
That's what I read. I believe I've seen. I mean, the heart icons have popped up for everybody. I think
but they can't shut that down like Vivienne would, or what have you.
Yeah, that was a cool thing, and that when Samara or whoever could turn you down, and I'm sure that the developers told themselves that this was meant to be inclusive of all orientations or whatever.
Yeah, I imagine they did. Yes.
It also makes it really obvious to me that these are not real people with actual orientations of their own, or even preferences of their own. These are Westworld sex bots lined up for me, waiting for me to select one. I don't like that.
Yeah, that's kind of always been how it felt like to me in video games. There's certainly Dragon Age, when you play it at first, it's kind of felt like it was innovative in that way. The original, the Liliana Morgan dance, it was felt like a really cool, neat thing. Repetition, playing that game multiple times, I've kind of just like, well, they're all just kind of like. There's three things I have to say in conversation to unlock the sex bot option here. So, and I know that.
Well,
at this
yeah,
point.
but I'm talking about the different. That's how romance subplots are structured within these things, which is one thing. Having the entire party, if Wynn and Ogren were all available in the same.
No, you're right.
Maybe I think you probably could screw Ogren if you wanted to.
I don't think you can screw Ogren.
Talking a big game. Okay, but. Having some limitations hardwired into it.
It's good.
That's...
Yeah, and have one or two bisexual characters, that's good too. That's fine.
Exactly. Yeah, but, Zevran being pansexual made plenty of sense for that character. And even Liliana of it. But, yeah. But having everybody open to everything just means, okay, these are... It lends to the perspective that we're talking about the factions. It feels like they are without perspectives of their own.
Mm-hmm. Or sexual interests. Yeah. Right. Yeah,
so for all that,
I didn't
though,
even know that was true. That sucks. Actually, I don't like that.
For all that, though, I do think sometimes the romance subplots in these games, some of them work fantastic for me. That I love the Morgan romance, the Talia romance, totally. the Yara romances. Those are great.
Morgan's an all timer.
These. So I for all my first three ladies here, I did some dating game stuff where I tried them all out. I chose a romance auction with Harding, and my rook suddenly got all flustered about calling it a date. And it's not a very well written scene. It also feels very wrong that I did not like choose that to be a personality aspect at all. It's I thought I was being declarative. It's this whole personality choice being made for me.
My rook is direct and sexually confident. God damn it!
No.
Well, so that should be an option, for God's sakes. God damn it.
Yeah, even if it gets me shot down, that would be great. As can happen in some other earlier Bioware games where you're too forward. But we went on this sort of date/side quest, and where she's experimenting with her new rock powers, and she tries to move a rock, and it doesn't work, and she says, "Awkward."
Oh no!
And at that point, I shut that one down. I'm like, all right, fuck this. I'm not. If this is the level of writing I'm gonna try move on to Nev. Nev and I are both shadow dragons. Yeah, so it seems like we'd have some similar interests. Maybe too similar. My problem with Nev, we look kind of alike. Just
sure.
The preset character I chose, like we have the same skin tone, and kind of our hair, and more importantly, we both are always standing around with our fists on our hips. And we look fucking dumb standing together, talking to each other in our Superman poses.
I have a similar thing with Tosh, so I avoid Tosh because of that.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
This to open it up to real life a bit here. I mean, this is not part of the fantasy for me because my wife and I are one of those couples that can pass for brother and sister.
Sure.
And I don't want my avatar in the Power Fantasy video game to also have that. Yeah.
Well, okay. So who'd you end up with?
I guess I'm like, now I've taken a romance or two option with Balara.
Okay.
But the last time, like, after we went on a little date side quest and I told her it was fun to spend time with her, and she replied, "Really? Well, I like spending time with you too." I'm like, oh my God, can you people have some fucking personality, please? Anyway, okay. But I don't have a thing to get through there. I mean, so Balara is connected to the Veil Jumpers, as we said. You said the Lords of Fortune have much going on. They don't either. I guess they're more connected to the lore in that their deal is that they kind of explore the Fade, but not really, and they're focused on ancient elven culture. But the weird thing with this
elven culture, goddamn,
like I don't need specialists in that. Every piece of this game is raining that down upon me. And the other thing, because of the way this game is set up, the origins around the factions, every faction then has to be open to any race, class, and gender that you chose. Right.
Right. Yeah.
And that really only matters around a little around race, I would say. But because of that, it robs these factions of some definition and some of that perspective we're talking about. Because the Veil Jumpers make a lot more sense as a Dalish group of Dalish elves, but they have to be open to also needing dwarven warriors for some reason, Kunari rogues.
This is the thing Origins did. It was like, well, you want to be a mage? Guess what? You're starting here, and you can't be a dwarf. Like
exactly.
It's distinct. I
like the romance things. Hardwire these limitations in.
Mm-hmm. And I guess the dwarves, still can't use magic. Is that right? That's like the only limitation, and it's grandfathered in.
Yes, because you're a Kunari mage, right? They're able to use it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that's been established through Dragon Age 2. But I think that's a part of why these factions don't seem to have perspectives, is because they have to be open to anybody of any background, and also locked into our rook is going to be a good guy. So none of them can have, curious motives.
Yep. Or it does. It's a flattening of the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And I hate to complain about some of this stuff because, like there's the anti-woke YouTube channels that'll do the same thing. And with that being sort of the unifying theory behind it is just like, it's wokeness. that's why you can't be an asshole in Dragon Age, and you gotta, and it's transgender for all, or whatever they're pissed off about. I mean, having no limitations actually kind of
I've got my own version
flattens
of that
everything
React,
out. Well, you know, it all just feels samey and not real and not like it means nothing. And it's just bad storytelling to have like the lack of limitations, because you know now there's no flavor to any of it. It costs you nothing to be these things, or it affects you in no way. And the whole point of having these different factions or different backgrounds or different all the variables that go into a Dragon Age game is that it changes the experience, and nothing does in this game. Like, there's no reason to replay
right.
this. You know? That's
what it feels to me, that I did replay all the different origins because they were different. But each of these, I mean, like I said, the factions' perspectives are ironed out. Even the way you interact with them, though, on a gameplay level, they all have basically a man and a woman pair who greet you and then send you to find the actual companion representative. And I guess the only time it's not a man and a woman is when it's that, you know, floating spirit in the necropolis.
It's coded male.
But yeah. Right.
He is the best one, though. He's the best quest giver in the game.
Like, the shadow dragons are the way, like I said, we're a group of like general interest do-gooders. And all the interesting and dark aspects of Tevinter culture that have been established by previous games are now kind of glossed over and mostly laid at the feet of the Venatori, who also have no coherent ideology.
No, not anymore. And yeah, again, we're not dealing with the tyrannical mages in Tevinter at all. You know, the people who run the show, which is kind of the promise, honestly. You know, there's a little of them in the opening mission of the game, and then nothing. And so it's boring. All the culture that I'm most interested there is not present, and we're just sort of like this. Well, what are these? This sort of Robin Hood dock culture, you know, which is not different fundamentally from the way the wardens are presented, or the way the veil jumpers are presented, or the way the crows are presented.
Right.
I guess the Mornwatch is a little different, but not too different.
I hoped the Shadow Dragons would at least have, like, you know, more specific beef with the Venatori. And I'm really disappointed with how the Venatori are presented here. They were not, like, the best antagonists ever in Inquisition or whatever.
No.
But at least there they were Tevinter supremacists, which was an angle that I thought that game underexplored maybe, but it generally fit with Corypheus' whole deal. And now that the villains are elven gods that aren't focused on Tevinter, like, what's the Venatori's recruitment platform? Like, what? I guess we keep saying that they joined up with the gods because they want power.
Of course.
Which is the same generic motivation they gave to the Antam for going bad, and similarly seems to exist for the purpose of cordoning off all the unsavory aspects of the established Qunari culture into this single villainous faction, and then really not really exploring the bad side, or even what's really left on the good side to any real degree thus far.
We said in the early Dragon Age conversations we were having that the main appeal of this game, this series, is that it feels less like playing a video game and more like diving into a really good fantasy novel.
Yeah.
And that's completely gone now. I would say that there's a hard break, maybe between 2 and 3. And there's just, they're running in the opposite direction, making this feel more and more like a game and less like
I think 3 might be where the direction changed, but it still had enough of the vestigial aspects. 3 feels like a part of the original trilogy, and this feels like something else to me.
I mean, I can kind of see that. It's certainly closer in just temporally to them, which helps. But, you know, just the open worldness of it, the amount of exploration and crafting and picking up, you know, leaves and berries and shit that you're doing in Inquisition tilts it firmly into game, you know. Whereas in Dragon Age 2, the game aspects are the worst parts of the game. It's the lore and the story and the writing that is the appeal. You know, like all that's what's cool about Dragon Age 2. So, you know, this is the EA thing as well. They did a sort of philosophical change in how they made these games, much to the worse, I think. And, you know, and this is just trying to do just the most unobjectionable kind of serve all masters version of that, and then as such, it's sort of nothing.
But that again, that's so antithetical to the Dragon Age brand. That was the whole thing. Origins was trying so hard to do the other thing, to be like, we're going to do the grown-up version of Final Fantasy or whatever. That has shades of gray.
Let's talk about some things that are good in the game. Okay, there are some of these companions we haven't discussed. I do like.
Okay,
yeah.
So the next one will be Davrin, the Grey Warden.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like
he's not the best.
Yeah,
but
he's okay.
There's things that are okay about him. He's a very stock characterization, kind of a tough, no nonsense guy, and it seems meaningless that he's an elf, but even still, he's very Grey Warden-y. I like his.
I was just about to say that. I don't know why that we need another elf in here, and he doesn't seem to have a unique perspective on the elf stuff we're drowning in.
None at all.
So he's much more of a warden than an elf, so I don't know why he needed to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's honestly, he just has stupid ears, is essentially all his elvenish. But I like his griffin very much. I enjoy playing with the griffin. And all the little things where you can just pet the griffin or have other characters pet the griffin. Yeah, that's fun. That's fine. He doesn't have the most perspective, really. When he's functioning as sort of like a pet daddy, that's kind of Davrin at his best. I find him useful in combat more than most, I would say. Yeah,
the griffin attacks can be pretty good, I found.
Yeah.
We might skip forward and then jump back here, but because he represents the wardens, and the warden element of this game comes to a head in sort of, I guess, like the end of the first act or the end of the second act, because this is a 5-act game, maybe, at the Siege of Weishaupt.
It's a bit of a mess act-wise. Yes. I would consider it the end of the second act, I guess, having not finished the game.
So the presentation of the wardens through the first 3 games is one of, I think, the more interesting aspects of it, is they're presented as, the sort of Jedi Order, the good guys.
The good and the bad of the Jedi Order, though, ultimately. That's what's kind of interesting in the Inquisition. One of the best plot threads of all is that they're sort of doing the fall of the wardens,
right.
In a way.
Yeah, and in the second game is set in a time and place when they are not relevant, like that they
right.
You get to see that aspect that is given some lip service in Origins, that, during the non-blight times, people forget about us and don't give us no respect. That contributes to this world feeling so much bigger. That's one thing Dragon Age 2 contributes to the overall tapestry, is making the world seem so much bigger than the wardens.
Yeah.
And now going to Weishaupt was an interesting idea, I think, because we were told in the first game that things are different there, that the wardens at Weishaupt, they're like harder and colder because of the brutal conditions, but also like they're more tempted to throw in their weight around in local politics because the Ander fellows up there don't really have a strong national government the way the other empires do. And it would have been interesting to see how any of that play out. But we get the boss is a jerk who comes around in time to kill himself in the big fight. Right?
Yep.
But it's part of that flattening out that there's just not room for perspectives of the wardens here.
I'm a little more positive on this, I think, just because it does feel like this is the wardens in decline. Like this is the sort of aftermath of the events of the last game, and they are sort of a shamed culture at this point. They're on the back foot. They are not what they used to be, and it's sort of an open question of whether this is even going to keep going or not. Like it seems like are we about to? Is the light about to go out on the wardens?
Yeah,
and that is not a bad place for them to be. And it also helps with the flattening, I think, in that they don't have to have much global presence because they're sort of doing a sort of small internal death. Now, I think once you're in the Habsburg wetback or outback or whatever it is, then it does sort of become a little bit more rote and a little bit more like other areas. And you have the 2 young kid quest givers, and they're sort of irritating to speak to, and all the stuff you're used to seeing at every level. There are some cool things that you have to do there. The haunted well sequence. Did you play that? That felt like classic Dragon Age.
Yeah, I don't know if I've completed it. I did at least like the first section of it.
That was neat.
We filled in well.
That felt like an old school Dragon Age moment in the game. So that stuff exists. I think this is kind of what I like done well. Davin's ultimate side quest, which I just completed, the Gloomhowler thing, starts off more promising than it ends. It kind of becomes a very boring kind of resolution to what started neat, but it is neat at first, and there's some good fights in there, and it's Griffin related. So I'm mostly positive on all of this stuff. This bugs me less than other factions, narratives, and places.
Okay, well, I haven't gotten to his sort of post-Weishaupt.
This is the worst part of it. The part you haven't done is the most rote, but whatever. It's still there's cool stuff there. I mean, as long as you don't mind bursting plague bubbles everywhere you go, which is such a big part of this game.
I'm starting to mind. It's getting really annoying. I mean, I want to give him some credit for at least the first warden being a dickhead gives us some conflict with one of these factions.
Yeah, that's good.
So that's good.
He's not many levels to him. Not an interesting character, as it turns out, but it's something.
No, he's just kind of a Dwayne T. Robinson figure.
Yeah. If they'd modeled him on Paul Gleason, that would have been really cool.
Honestly, he's still alive, right? Can we get him? He could have done it once.
I don't think he's still alive.
Oh, okay. Rest in power, Paul Gleason. Okay. We have two other companions / factions to go through. There's Tasha, you mentioned, who was our dragon hunting Kunari. Mm-hmm. She is a representative of the Lords of Fortune, who are a group of pirates who are actually scrupulously careful to preserve and respect the cultural history of the artifacts they're plundering, and always offer to return them to their proper indigenous owners. Mm-hmm. So that's not actually a business plan. You're not actually pirates. You're not treasure hunters. Exactly.
I mean, there's almost nothing here, honestly. Like there's an arena that you can knock out in about 20 minutes, and that's about it for the Lords of Fortune. They're boring. You're only represented by Isabel from Dragon Age 2, who is functionally a different character, and Tasha's narrative is really boring too. So
there's not a way to get to like reference her prior appearances, even like Dragon Age 2 or whatever. And it does not. Like, there's no reason it shouldn't be Isabella, but it also does not affect anything in the slightest.
Not at all.
Like, Morrigan is also flitting about again, but I can talk to her about things that happened in earlier games.
But much better than Isabella. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. I have almost nothing to say about them other than, I mean, I am a Lords of Fortune. That's my character, and it has availed me in no way. It has been meaningless, no one talks about it, no one cares. Every now and then I get an answer to prompt be like, well, as a Lords of Fortune, I love adventure, or something like that, and that is it. It's a very boring faction, which you would be surprised because they are, the gold-loving pirates. You would think, well, that's a good rogue kind of thing, right?
Exactly, you would think so.
Yeah, it's kind of a slantwise way of approaching this stuff. I mean, I almost want to say it's the same mistake the Pirates of the Caribbean movies made, where they fashion them to be freedom fighters in the end. And it's just like, well, that defeats the whole purpose of what's cool about pirates, is that they're sort of amoral, but they don't even get that far here.
I think you can do interesting stuff with the idea that being freedom fighters also doesn't mean that you're
good guys
in a narco-socialist commune that shares it. Like, you could be a materialist and still have great things and care about freedom. I think lots of criminals actually care about freedom, even if it's mostly their own.
Yeah, fair point. So that's honestly maybe the biggest disappointment faction-wise for me. I mean, maybe, I think so.
They're the worst for sure.
But the Morn Watch, these guys I like. These guys I'm into. Emmerich. This is I mean, do I need to tell you this is my favorite guy in the game?
No. He has the most character. It's somebody that it's not a stock type that we've played in 8 different Bioware games already, so that's nice.
He has perspective, he has narrative. He's got a a kind of a really strong vocal performance, which most of these guys don't actually have, and a lot of personality. It's what you want in a Bioware character.
Yeah, I mean, does he stack up against the best of the Mass Effect 2 crew? Like, maybe not.
No.
But in this context, it's rain in the desert.
He could be in Mass Effect 2 and he wouldn't stand out. He would be better than a few of them, you know? Like,
Yes.
He wouldn't be at the top, but he'd be in the middle comfortably. And yeah, in this, he's just like, oh, thank God Emmerich's around. This is the best. And of course, Emmerich, of course, being a sort of an elderly man styled on Vincent Price.
I mean, elderly is a bit much.
He's 50 or so, yeah.
Yeah, he's 50.
Not elderly. I mean, he's certainly
by these
who I'm
standards,
dating.
he's younger than Wynn, who was, of course, molded or designed to be an elderly woman with just a fucking rockin' bod. I haven't seen Emmerich's disrobe yet, so I don't know if he's got a Marvel movie bod under there. Probably.
I'm working towards that. I hope we get there because I might have played the field a little early on. Once Emmerich showed up, I knew who I was in love with. That's for sure. It's been all about Emmerich.
I was probably going to go the same way if you had already hinted that you were doing that. So I'm like, all right, I guess I should try somebody else.
He's a lot of fun. He's good. He's a good foil. He has interesting things to say, interesting perspective on what's going on. And he's just sort of he's a dork for death, which is really fun. He's like, it's a good piece of characterization, and the romance option actually pretty strong.
And he has a sidekick skeleton character, which is a lot of fun.
Manfred, yeah.
Yes.
I hope he's involved in the sex scene.
At least you have to tell him to turn around.
I don't know. I haven't unlocked that yet. I'm kind of saving it as a reward, and I'm sure it'll be disappointing. They've really shied away from having any sort of sex scenes in these since the original Mass Effect.
I do wish that we got to see some part of Navarra outside of the necropolis, like that.
Sure. That's
sort of another thing. It's like it's one of the we didn't hear a lot about Navarra in prior games, but that was the one thing that had stood out. Was they had necropolis? They don't bury their dead. They've got some sort of thing that's built around that we heard from secondhand through Cassandra. But that's the only thing we're given any sort of window into here. And it does kind of make it seem like the entire nation is the land of Halloween from Nightmare Before Christmas or something.
What? I mean, is that not enough to make it the coolest one, though?
Yes. I just like how Origins made it feel like this was a functional world with societies that had like trade and culture and immigration between them and stuff.
Right. I mean, well, it's such a I do think that the Necropolis does ultimately kind of have a lot of the same issues as the other hub worlds that you're hanging out in. It is the smallest by far, but that feels appropriate. It's not an expansive space. It's an underground cave system full of corpse halls and things like that. So that makes sense. And yeah, again, you've got the terrifying ghost quest giver and. Just slightly more interesting things to do and less nonsense busy work to do there. And yeah, you generally have Emmerich with you who's saying cool things. So that's far and away my favorite part of the game, honestly, is Emmerich and Necropolis based quests. He also has a really cool kind of personal conflict, which is that he's terrified of death. Kind of an interesting slantwise way of approaching this character.
Yeah. Yeah, he's good character design there.
Yeah.
But, I don't know that any of these character designs are much of a problem. To me, it's...
I don't know. Balara
maybe Nev... I don't know if Dev has... Oh, when I talk about design, I don't mean visual necessarily. Okay. I mean just like the core concept of them. Because where this game falls down is the character interactions. The party interactions are the highlight of the whole BioWare experience for me and all the other games. And in this one, everybody gets along perfectly well right from the jump, and it sucks. I hate how nice everybody is.
I do like the conversations they have with each other while you're traveling. Those seem to have been fleshed out and considered a little more. Like people don't like Emmerich that much. I've noticed.
Well, maybe I haven't put in enough miles with him.
Him and Tosh fight a lot, for example. They're fun to hang out with together for that reason. That's the kind of the closest you get to conflict between the characters. It is this sort of incidental, doesn't affect the plot kind of way, but they're at least kind of scrapping with one another, and that's fun.
Oh, okay. I haven't traveled with Hemrick enough then, because I have been markedly, my people will not scrap with each other. And that's what was always best about Mass Effect and Dragon Age previously. And it's been driving me freaking nuts.
Yeah. Well, it's just not living is what the problem is, right? I mean,
yes.
it just doesn't breathe. It doesn't feel like characters for a variety of reasons. You know, the sex bot thing is part of it. And just sort of the copacetic nature of every interaction. You know.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Tosh's whole trans deal then.
Sure.
Because very rapidly after coming to us, she starts going through a crisis of gender identity.
Yeah, dysmorphia.
And my character is given 4 options for how to respond to this, but all of them are supportive. And it's not that I wanted to be mean to her about it, but if there was an option for a mean response, it would make my right. It would. There you go. I don't have to try; it just comes out. But if there had been an option for me to be mean about it, it would have made my choosing the nice response feel more like a meaningful choice.
Yeah, look, this is something that set people off, obviously. It's a hot button issue. I kind of admire and respect the choice to dive into hot button issues like this in your RPG game. I think it's a good idea to take things that people care about and are worried about and are, the current topics of conversation and deal with them in a fantasy setting. This is just so didactic and so
right.
They haven't really altered the language or the perspective at all to fit into a world where there are dragon people running around.
Right.
Like they haven't really given this much consideration. It is like a 1-to-1 transposition of modern gender politics into this world, and so it seems very silly when you've got this dragon lady who breathes fire with a jade horn, been like, well, so I'm binary now, and it's just sort of it strikes the ear funny, and I don't know that it achieves what it's trying to. Even though I think that is a worthy thing, and that something that Dragon Age has dabbled in before. Right. To be honest, like Shade is going through a lot of this stuff as well. In a way
Shale,
that feels
the golem?
Shale, excuse me.
Yeah.
That feels explicitly fashioned to a fantasy world.
Right. And then there was this more side character in Inquisition that people, the ship had freaked out about.
Even that was much better. It was the same kind of mistakes, but it was a lot less overt and simple.
Well, it was better integrated into the culture of this world, like you're talking about. I mean, so that's something, that's okay. This is my anti-woke rant.
Please.
I feel like there is a thing that the people will rant about on YouTube of, as you include more woke elements in a lot of these IPs, the quality has dropped. And I feel like there's correlation there that doesn't prove causation. But when I think about it, it's at the same time that there was this deliberate push to be more inclusive with races and genders and non-binary everything into your Star Wars and your Marvels and your Dragon Ages and everything else. Another part of the problem was that you have the writing of it was taken over by fandoms, and it became more fanficky. And that's not necessarily a direct result of having more women involved, but the worst aspects of fan fiction writing and modern writing, I guess, woke, is this ironing out of conflict, is having everybody be nice and supportive and have everybody speak as if they've had a few years of therapy under their belt, even when they're in a medieval context that strikes the ear as very phony.
It's tough. It's a really difficult balance to strike. I'll admit that. Like, because even if you are going to inject that into this game, and have people with varying opinions of this, have transphobic dwarves running around, you're still putting transphobic language in a dwarf's mouth, and he's talking about that, and it's just like, well, this is actually quite silly and kind of upsetting, and and the more real you treat it, and with the more nuance and kind of intelligence, the more it draws attention to itself. Which means, and that again sort of opens the question as, is this really worth putting in your game? Is this the sort of thing that you want to, explore? Because there's so many trap doors and booby traps that are laid out in front of you on handling this wrong, that someone will have an opinion of, even, and if you do it the right way, the good way, you will still piss a lot of people off. You do it wrong, you'll piss people off. And so it seems like a bit of a zero-sum game to do this at all. That's it. I kind of admire them for doing it in a way, though. I'm kind of like, I like that they're. I mean, it's honestly the only place they're pushing an envelope at all with this game.
True, and I don't want to get to the conclusion of, oh well,
this shouldn't be there.
You shouldn't. Yeah, you shouldn't put more people in it, or more different types of people in these things because it's so hard to do it right. I mean, that's something that chits me about. I don't know. I guess wokeness or these arguments generally sometimes is that
it's the most.
I feel like they can stumble very quickly into the idea of, well, okay, historically we've established certain stereotypes that Black people have been saddled with over time, and so you shouldn't put your Black person in a movie if they're going to die first, because that's a thing to do, and you shouldn't put them in, if you're going to put them in a romance with another Black person, because that's,
or a white person,
all they're allowed to, or a white person. Yeah. So now we're cutting them off from that too. Because like, you can't do any of this. It very quickly becomes an argument to not include people at all. Actually, I think including people in different contexts than they've historically been is the way forward, and that, the solution to it overall. So, but I don't know, you could have Tosh be trans, but also kind of know that going in, like presented that way from the start, and not need Nev to gently walk her through pronoun selection.
Yeah, well, I would prefer that, because that becomes the entirety of Tasha's subplot. Like, this is what her,
that too. It's her only thing now.
Yeah,
there.
No, so that you are like, going and fighting, necromancers and with Davrin or Valara, or you're fighting going to the bottom of the deep roads with what's her ass, Harding, and finding the ancient voice of the Titans under the stone, and then you're going to Tash with their mom, and trying to get the mom to accept Tash's new identity, and it's a marked difference in what it's like. That's literally the plot, and occasionally there's a dragon thrown in that she has to fight. They have to fight because it is we are the Lords of Fortune, and that's sort of the thing, dragon fighting, but it is unrelated to anything else. It is a one-off fight each time, and Tasha's real story is getting the mom to accept them. That's it.
Well, I contrasted how Dorian's side quest went in Inquisition, and
very
that was actually like so well integrated into the fictional culture here, in that he presents it as kind of, I'm the Black sheep of my family, I was kind of thrown out for being gay, and then you meet with his father, and it presents it as that's sort of true, and it's sort of more nuanced than that, and that they weren't like, there was not a moral revulsion to his lifestyle. It was, we are an aristocratic family, we want you to be the head of this. So we're a political entity and a family business, and we need you to have children to continue on, the business and be the head of the family, but also you're, fine to pursue your extracurriculars however you want. And that was more nuanced, less homophobic, but still like made sense in a cultural context there, and also did not resolve it very like super neatly.
Cultural context, I think the thing that is missing so dramatically from Tasha's story, and why it feels lecture-y. I don't even know if that's the word. It feels agenda-based, which I hate to say, but it does. And again, I'm fine with that in a way. It's just, that can't be it. That can't be the entirety of it. You have to put it into a narrative here. You have to put it into something that deepens the character. I mean, that is potentially the most interesting thing that they could be doing, and they don't find a way to make it interesting at all. Honestly, it's basically that scene from X-Men 2 with Iceman's parents, and it's just like that's every scene with Tosh, and X-Men 2 is 20 years old or more at this point. Mm-hmm. We've kind of figured this out culturally that we can do more.
And that was one scene, and it was funny.
Yeah, and that's all right, but it feels like a lot left on the table with Tosh in general as a result of that.
Yeah, it sort of swallows up anything else that could be going on with her. And the other odd thing about it I found was that, at least I don't know, I don't think this is unique to my playthrough, but it is like Nev offers like, oh, I'll introduce you some shadow dragons that go through the same thing, and Tosh talks a lot about that meeting the shadow dragons is what, and their acceptance of non-binary gender things is what brought her to this. And it kind of throws me, I guess, the lack of definition between the factions, that I don't know why the shadow dragons are more inclusive in this range than the Lords of Fortune, who seem to be a complete mishmash of cultures with no, like, they don't seem culturally conservative to me in any way compared to any other factions.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they wouldn't be the most open to this.
Well, this points to a lack of specificity and consideration on that lore and the context, and really drawing these things out, which has always been, one of the things that made these games, one of the things that was most exciting about them. Now, I don't think this is a total botch. I really don't. I think that, these later characters, Davrin, Tosh, and Emmerich are kind of standouts for me among the cast. I enjoy them and their dialogue and what they say to one another. I wish there was a little bit more with their backstory. That's true of every character, but this goes to the bigger point, which is none of this stuff really exists together. None of it is interacting with each other. You're kind of siloed off into each different realm. None of these characters touch the others in any specifics, which is such a big part of Origins and all these games up to this point. I guess less so each time, but it's the fun of them. And now, with that absent, the fun has to be on the combat system, essentially. And it's whether you enjoy this game or not is basically entirely going to be determined by how much you like the combat. And I kind of do, but not that, it's not enough to even remotely scratch the itch that I'm coming to for a Dragon Age game.
And I don't know that any combat's going to be enough to satisfy me on its own for 80 hours. Like, I haven't played Call of Duty at that point, I guess. But
it's tough. I mean, Mass Effect was. Well, I don't know. Mass Effect was the complete package, though.
Exactly.
So, who knows?
Well, again, I think that the theme we keep hitting on is lack of specificity.
Yeah.
Hurting it in a lot of different factions or factors. That brings us, I think, to the lore aspects, too, which also, I think, suffer from lack of specificity in some ways. So there's another part where we start collecting a bunch of statues that give us lore dumps in the form of memories of Solus from way back when he was originally rebelling against the elven gods.
Mm-hmm.
And so after these cutscenes we all sit around in the parlor and have a team powwow. And because I guess the magical statues have beamed these memory visions into everyone's head at once. Okay, great organic world building, really kudos there. So anyway, in one of these conversations, Harding is shook up by how the latest vision has disproved one of the central tenets of Dragon Age Christianity. And this upsets her. I'm given 6 options to respond to her crisis of faith, and I've reached a point now where I'm making a real effort to choose the most asshole-ish response just to combat what we've been talking about here, the overwhelming niceness.
You can't, though.
It's not. No, I chose the most dickish one I could, what seemed like the hardest one, and it still comes out as me reassuring her that even though I don't believe in it, she doesn't have to stop believing just because we proved her religion definitively wrong. And then everyone else goes around the circle chiming in agreement that all religions are valid. It doesn't need to change anyone's mind about anything. And just top-notch religious debate, folks. Compelling stuff.
I mean, yeah, it's that like the choice for dialogue with the knight with his arms crossed at the bottom right. You always think, well, maybe that'll be the meanest. Never really is. It's just sort of terse, maybe. It's
even that. I didn't even tell her, like, let's move on or anything. I said, no, it's okay. You can still believe. Like, no, that's not what I want to say at all.
That's like an interesting idea that they do nothing with, by the way. The fact of these villains disproving, centuries of religious belief or challenging it in a very direct and obvious way. Like, and you'll just get like Valara occasionally, well, that was before I learned that the gods I've worshipped are actually ancient magicians trying to kill me. Oh, well, that just happened. It's just like, God damn it. This is the most you can do with this concept. This is a cool idea. They just do shitty little quips about it.
But here's the other problem I have here is we're so deep in the lore here. Like,
right.
The inciting incidents and conflicts among the villains and the major reveals we're getting are all based on things that happened thousands and thousands of years before our characters came along. In a world that was, if I understood correctly, like made of pure magic where dreams were reality.
Yeah, I think I don't know if understanding correctly is the correct phrase, but yes, that's sort of what is given to us, I suppose.
Right. Like, I can't even parse what Solus and Mythal were in a time when elves were just spirits that were just taking on physical bodies for the first times, and they were fighting wars against mountain titans and maybe each other. And like, I'm not clear. Like when they were doing these wars, were there humans around? Maybe.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
I don't. Like, I think the implication is no. I don't think they can exist in the Fade or the combo of Earth and Fade or whatever it was that precisely existed.
Yeah, I can't.
God, it would have been nice if Solus was the villain in this game, huh?
It would have been great. Instead, we get a different couple of ancient elves that are trying to do the same thing that he was supposedly trying to do, but in a meaner, blightier way.
A far less interesting way. God, they're so boring. I hate these bad guys so much. They suck so much. When you finally get to see what Elgar'nan, the man god of the elves, looks like, he is the stupidest looking shit. Imagine. He looks like a Dracula. He looks like one of the gargoyles from the Disney cartoon Gargoyles, but also Dracula. That's what he looks like.
That's too bad, because Gillenane looks terrible herself.
Gillenane at least has tentacles.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
That's about it, monster. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they suck. They're awful. They're the worst Dragon Age antagonists imaginable. I can't believe this is what they landed on. It is really... I mean, you talk about how this doesn't feel like a fantasy novel anymore. Man, this shit wouldn't cut muster in a novel at all. It's so boring. And, well,
it's boring because it's in this before time. Like, asking me to care about the political minutia of wars that happened before the veil separated the Fade. Like, it's like asking me to care about political maneuvers in the Garden of Eden. Like, you're taking the fiction at face value.
Even harder, I think, because the Garden of Eden, you can at least kind of transpose sort of, some version of human physics onto.
Right.
Like they're breathing air.
They were humans.
Supposedly, yeah. Who even knows if there's, gravity in this original, primeval creation or whatever this thing is?
There's not much gravity in the present tense of this game. But yeah, that's the thing. These are not human beings we're talking about in any sense that's meaningful to me.
I mean, they're spirits, much like, or not really though. Right, spirits are a different thing. They are elven magicians that are essentially gods that are separate from these emotional spirits that coexist in the Fade, but used to be integrated more fully into, fuck this shit.
We've already gone through the dramatic reveal that the elven gods weren't real, like actual deities. They were just super powerful wizards. And now we're going back to the dramatic reveal that actually elves originally were just spirits that hadn't embodied bodies yet, become corporeal yet. Like, well, so they're back to being gods, like, right? Like, or spirits or whatever. So Balara is getting angsty about like how the elves actually created the blight, sort of, maybe themselves. It's just so far removed from the present tense of this story that I can't engage with it at all. Like, it's like I'm talking to you here and you're going on some sort of white guilt trip about war crimes that Cro-Magnon men committed against Australopithecus in 40,000 BC. Like, who cares? Those aren't even people we're talking about, much less your people.
Yeah, I mean, all this stuff has it is part of the flattening of the lore here and the world and all. This is all distancing and stuff that makes you care less about what's going on in Thedas and makes it seem less important and make this feel less connected to the larger Dragon Age mythology, which has always been on a decline essentially ever since the first game. It's always kind of been, getting worse as we go. And I mean, look, I'm enjoying this game more than Inquisition still. I'm going to finish it probably a solid 40 to 50 hours faster than I am Inquisition. And that is I love that, honestly. That's great. But I do feel like this is an ignominious end for the BioWare Omnibus. We might be coming back to these. I feel like, I just have to stop playing these fucking games though, man.
People say that this game ends well. I've been trying to avoid specific spoilers, so maybe it'll pick up in the back half here. But that's it for next time. I guess we'll pick up with the Siege of Weishaupt and sort of get into the plot now that we've got all the character stuff out of the way, and hopefully all of my griping out of the way.
There's not much plot after Weishaupt, I can tell you that.
Yeah,
mostly a lot of personal quests and conversations. So I don't know.
Try and do it all in one more go here.
Yeah,
I guess luckily for us, there's no DLC for this game and will not be.
Right. It was a massive commercial failure. They canceled all DLC. But we can talk about the sort of terrible attempts to adapt this material that we may or may not come up with. We can give that a shot, huh?
That's gonna
put this into a TV show.
It's gonna be the steepest climb we've encountered yet. So yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for listening. We'll be back to finish off VEILGUARD sometime in the near future.